Good night and welcome, everyone. It's a lovely, sultry summer night, and I am yours truly, CM Kozeman. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bakara. Hello, Spamton. Hello, Rob. Hello, long-time internet friend. Nice to see you. Hello, Lord Grunwalder, Bryden. Welcome once again to the CM Kozeman live stream. As you can see, I was just pre-gaming with some nice snacks. I was hyped by Jurassic World, so I got some Snickers double edition. I got a big plate here of apples, cucumber, and some iceberg lettuce. I'm going to be eating all this while you guys percolate. This is just the pre-game and warm-up session now. So come right in, call your friends, call everyone you know, and we'll have a night. 19 people watching. Lovely to see you all. I normally have these in mornings. Go with the coffee. Head straight to the brain. And if you're speaking to people as part of your work, you got to have caffeine, you got to have carbohydrates, you got to have chocolate. 3 of them straight to the brain. And you also got to have protein. Like this burns a lot of ATPs. Is there a tattoo on your hand? No, actually, I was at a second-hand shop. It's the name of a composer, Berlioz. Little-known composer. Has a kind of opera, or has a big musical work called Fantastic Composition or something. So I carry, this is my backpack, okay? I carry a easy to access Sharpie at all times on my person. And actually I can just, when I'm wearing this on my back, I can just do it on my back like. So when I need to take notes, emergency notes or something, that's God's own Post-it. Plus I have this thing, which is just a little envelope with lots of little pieces of paper in it. So I can, if I have to like scrabble, I don't know, my website or a phone number or like give something to somebody, I use this. And once again, it's in my easy access point of my backpack. I'm old-fashioned like that. Because believe it or not, this is my phone. I don't use a smartphone. I would if an employer paid me to use it, but they haven't, so I don't. So that's that. Jerry Caleb says, it's good you took a video of it now in case it smudges. I already like looked up Berlioz later, and this is like almost 2 days old now. Sharpies don't wear out fast, so yeah. Rob Gautier says, you're too smart to use a smartphone. Well, I don't know, maybe. Just too goat-headed and dumb, maybe, I don't know. I mean, if I had to use a smartphone, it would just be whatever app they needed me to use and nothing else. Lord Grunwalder says, best decision for real, avoid brain rot at all cost. Well, yeah. I mean, I think in 40 years, it's going to be like, it's going to be seen in a similar way to cigarettes. Like, you know how in older times in the 1960s, you look at TV series like Mad Men, they're smoking all over the place. In like hospitals, in the workplace, even in airplanes or in public transport, there's like nicotine smoke all over the place. And I think in the future, it's going to be like that. There's going to be settings where using a smartphone will not be seen as the proper thing to do. Smarticle particle, says Calliope Crane. Well, a lot of discussions, and 6 minutes in, I will give everybody another minute and we will officially start the podcast. 30 people in. Call your friends, friends. Use those smartphones that you've been cursed with. Let everybody know on your apps, your WhatsApp, your Discord, what the fuck ever you use. Bring them over to this YouTube stream. Let's have some buddies in the room. Rob Gautier says, when I was a kid, they used to smoke in McDonald's. Yeah. Although I will also make a note, Lord Grunwalder also echoes this. At least in Turkey, but I think among younger Gen Z in general, smoking has made a catastrophic comeback. And it's seen as a cool thing to do. And this has just happened in the last 2-3 years. Like you got all these memes with like cigarette smoking, hot looking, lowrider pants wearing goth chicks again. And I think it's become edgy and cool again. And it's incredible how fast it's rolled back. Hayden says, the cigarette resurgence is real in the US. Rob Gautier says, in Japan, everybody was vaping. In Europe, too. Well, they can't afford vapes here, so. Sarat says, I literally have just one friend who doesn't smoke. Look, I don't know how cigarette companies did it, because it was like, before COVID, it was almost eradicated. Like, very few people smoked. But I think it's a side effect of despair and, well, I don't know, just like tough times, plus the cool effect circulating. And there is something instinctive about like you're a man or a woman, I don't know, I don't care. You're a person, I'm standing like this. I'm cooler if I stand like this, if I have something in my hand. Makes me look like a busy man with shit to do. I'm even cooler if I can do this. And I'm even cooler if I can do this, but smoke comes out. So there's something like intuitively cool about that, which just begs to be leveraged. Aura 1000. This is one of my nicest sticks, by the way. I found this as driftwood in a beach near Crete more than 10 years ago. And the thing with this is I can use this, just dip it in ink and draw with it. So it's part of my art kit. But I can also use it as a spare. Eat shit. That's that. Organic Wolf says, we need to bring back having a straw or toothpick in your mouth like Miami Vice, right? Remember that? They're all like that in Miami Vice. But yeah, so it's officially on. Welcome, everybody. Very sanitary stick, says Clam James. It is actually very sanitary because I keep a bottle of sanitizer always at hand. So you just plug the stick in here, press the button, sanitized. Reverse the side, press the button, sanitized. I also shaved. I shaved for you, motherfuckers. And the sanitizer, I actually keep multiple types of sanitizer here at the war desk. I have this, which I also use as granulation medium for watercolors. Plus, I have this, which is just ethanol, and it's a harsher kind of sanitizer. Plus, I have this from all the way in Manisa in Turkey, ancient magnesia, and the home of at least one of you guys. It is a kind of alcohol distillate produced from tobacco leaves. And this is actually very nice. You just undo it. Just remove your glasses. Oh, it's very fresh. Gotta get it behind your ears, wet behind the ears, cheeks. Oh God, it's one of the nice things about being a biological male. Having a beard, shaving it, and soaking up with alcohol afterwards. It's one of the best feelings. Lord Grunwalder says we make that. Yeah, I guess you would. Lord Grunwalder, his family is a well-known landowner in this region. Doesn't that burn your eyes? Says Rob Gautier. It does, but to quote from Lawrence of Arabia, the trick is not to let it show. And that's a nice trick with all things in life. Just go through shit and not let it show. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. It's great to see you all here. 35 people watching. And used to be that I could address and answer every comment, but now we reached that stage where actually some of the comments are slipping through the cracks. And yeah, so I'm really happy with the popularity this show has built up. And I'm trying to make a serious video and space it evenly with these live streams. I don't want to be just a live stream channel. But I hope you're all doing well, and let's have our roll call. Let me know where you are from, where you are from, where you are from, and we can officially get this show on the road. Where are you from? Oh. Hello from Kalamazoo, Michigan, says Rob Gautier. Hello to California, to Baccara. Hello to California again, to Spampton. Hello to Jerry Raccoon in Germany. Hello to Pete in Izmir. Hello to Dan McAleer in Scotland. Hello to Great Guardian in Pennsylvania. Barney in Oregon. Organic Wolf in Mexico. Clam James in Ireland. Atakan in Izmir. Ancient Smyrna. Regentaucher from Germany, now in Switzerland. Seteki from rural Pennsylvania. Jerry Caleb from Georgia, USA, the land of peaches and peanuts. Spampton in California. Hayden in California. Luke Saterna in Lithuania. Batuhan in Üsküdar. Gavin in Florida. Parker in Colorado. Ramjet Raul, I love that name, in Seattle. Nikit Niksowski from Poland. I think it's Antony from Ukraine. Thomas Strimpel from Texas. Calliope Crane from Utah. Wow, I'm so blessed to have all y'all. I think I got more viewers from California alone than viewers from my home country, which is something. It's a really honorable thing to reach out to so many people. And when I read out these shout outs, I always imagine like a map of the world lighting up as I read the places, and it's just nice. I'm also reminded of that one Limp Bizkit song I've forgotten the name of, but it's like there's like a sick West Borland guitar riff ding, ding, ding, ding, ding, ding, in the background, and it's just Fred Durst saying like, "What's up, Jacksonville, Mississippi, Pensacola?" Like all these like rural, middle of nowhere places where he's obviously honoring, and not the big cities. And I like that song. I don't remember what it was called, but one of my favorite Limp Bizkit tracks. Erman Eroğlu is a Turkish brother hauling from Southampton in the UK. Please have some bangers and mash for me. Rob Gautier says California is cool like that. They like the live stream and cool people who do cool art. Yeah, thank you. Lord Grunwalder says, soon you might be the most influential Turkish artist. Thank you. Let's knock on wood. There's always a saying though. If thousands know your name, millions don't. So don't let it get to your head. Bakara says, do you still appreciate comments on older videos? I mean, I read them. About my older videos and older live streams even, like, I don't know. I used to have these like edgier jokes and like this edgier personality in my live streams. I don't think that's aged well, but depends on the video. Some of my old videos, the topical ones, are really cool. I just wish I was more like serious and up to the point with the narration sometimes, but that's all. Mazomonk is from Bursa, and he says a Star Wars comic from Mr. Cosman would be awesome. I don't know. I'm not much of a sequential arts guy. Got some good news. It's been official. I will announce it later. But I will be attending DinoCon, which is basically a bigger incarnation of TetsuCon in Exeter, United Kingdom, this August, less than a month from now, August 17th, 16, 17. And I will be selling a lot of merchandise, including these incredible aqua tint paintings of prehistoric life. So these start out as black and white line art drawings done digitally, but the coloring is exactly by hand, entirely by hand. And these are watercolors. You really can't do them justice, but they look beautiful. I keep making more and more of them. This isn't complete. It's one of the Tyrannosauroids. Plus, there will be original All Tomorrow's art, like things you cannot find anywhere else. This week, I will be printing desk flags, so it's going to be like announcing CM Kozman arts and merchandise, so that's going to be cool. I'm eating some salad now. So that's been that. Also, I've been on a fish arc with Snayad, which is my other long-running alien world design project, which is, if you don't know, it's basically like a cladistic overview of an alien planet. And I've tackled most of the terrestrial clades, but now I'm drawing fish-like animals that live in the seas, and this is one of them. These things are called arthrognats, and they have like a... So let me tell you the whole story, actually. Wait. The entire phylum of Arthrognata is a homage to this thing, Oh, sorry. Just a minute. Give me a minute. I might have told you about this before. So, Snayad is about evolution on another planet. And as in this world, little simple body plans scale up to a lot of diversity on Snayad, okay? And one of the little in jokes is this thing. Oops. Oh, for crying out loud. Huh. Okay. So this is called Nectocaris, which was a Burgess shale creature of unknown affinities. When it was first discovered, it was described as an animal that had a front part of the body like an arthropod and the hind part like almost like a chordate. So the entire phylum Arthrognatha on Snayad is going to be like an homage to this creature. And from that body plan, I have these things where basically they have 4 eyes and, praying mantis-like forelimbs, but they articulate like jaws. And the rest of the body has vertebrate-like backbones and 4 fleshy fins, although some lineages have less, and then a fish-like tail. So it's like this kind of a composite organism. And yeah, that's that. So today I drew this. I also drew a super fast pelagic predator from the same clade, which was this thing. And the jaws articulate as pincers as well as like claws. So there's that. So now these join the long queue of artworks which I scan and later on do a screen toning on and maybe even colorize, and then I will write about them. But there's like 500 different clades for land animals, and now I think nearly 40 for the fish, but I need way more, way more. Jerry Caleb says, that's what Alexander the Great saw in the submarine. Yeah. Those things are sick, by the way. Give me a minute. If you want to read, like if you want a great summer book, you're into science fiction and shit, but you want a great summer reader, I will give you this tip: Alexander the Great, A Life in Legend. And this is not about Alexander's life, but it's all about the legends which grew up in the Christian world and the Muslim world after Alexander. And I think it's one of the most precious books in my library. And still, I every 2 years, I go back to this book and give it a reread. It's just incredible. And the story of the submarine is also there. Alexander goes down to the sea and sees all the fish. And there's a bajillion different legends. Like the cover is one of them, actually. He builds a flying machine with 6 griffons and a cage, and he goes to space, literally. Alexander's legend. I mean, Alexander the Great is already a legendary, amazing figure. And these legends, this is like one of the most succulent, juicy, tasty books you can ever have. Alexander the Great, A Life in Legend by Richard Stoneman. Go get this thing. It's incredible. There's a sequence about all the monsters that supposedly attack them in India. I actually made a few videos on this channel about this. But there's a Night of Terrors. Okay, let me read it from you. And it's like it's incredible. It's like a death world, or It's like that bug sequence from the King Kong movie, but here's how it happens. This is a legend, obviously. In India, Alexander's army has pitched camp, but then they had to endure a night of terrors. When the moon began to rise, scorpions suddenly arrived to drink in the lake. Then there came huge beasts and serpents of various colors, some red, some black or white, some gold. The whole earth echoed with their hissing and filled us with considerable fear. It was already the third hour of the night, and we were hoping that we should get some sleep. But then more snakes arrived. Fucking serpents. They had crests on their heads and were thicker than columns. Their breath, too, was poisonous. We spent more than an hour of the night fighting and slaying them, and they killed our party. They killed of our party 30 servants and 20 soldiers. After the serpents, there arrived, listen to this closely, giant crabs with hard backs like those of crocodiles. And when we threw our spears at them, they did not penetrate still, but we killed a good many of them with fire. And then there's a whole slew of other monsters, including this thing called the Odontotyrannus, the toothed tyrant, which is a monster unlike any you see in mythology. And this is, you see it from an Armenian translation. So like all the cultures of the Near East had their weird headcanons of Alexander's spin-off stories, and it's just wonderful. Just wonderful. I mean, there's a whole chapter about fabulous races and all these machines Alexander builds, and god damn, this like you might read this book and decide to pick up history as a major. Who knows? So there's that. Lexus Galavan says, interesting how war does not exist in Snayad. Well, it's a world of like maybe 20,000 colonists, so not much to fight over. Plus, the society I envision will be like very, very strictly controlled. Hayden says, I need this book. Well, let's pause it here. And why don't you look at the book while I go fulfill a call of nature? I'll be back. Oh. Yes. So what should we talk about? Let's get your questions, comments. What should we talk about, everybody? It's a very hot summer night. I hope the summer's been treating you well. Blake Richardson says, hello, Mr. Kozeman. How have you been? I'm doing all right. Oh. I'll give you an incredible life hack. If you want the smoothest shave of your life, here's what you do. You get like a bowl like this, and you boil some water, but you really fucking boil it, okay? Then you fill it with the boiling water. Then to it, you add like literally 5 tablespoons worth of liquid soap, the kind you can find on any supermarket. But don't make it bubble. Just it's gonna be soap and boiling fucking water, okay? And then to that you add 2 tablespoons, a lot of salt, and you slowly stir it without making it bubble. So you get this like very hot boiling pap. And then you dip your razor in it, wait until it's really scalding hot. Then you take it out. God. Salt does something to your skin, makes it smoother. And the soap enables a smooth glide. And with that kind of formula, you don't actually even need shaving foam. You can just shave a raw dog if your stubble isn't too long. So yeah. Nikit Nikolsky says, what are your favorite art media? Mine are oil pastels and woodless colored pencils. It changes a lot. I use a lot of watercolors, but it has to be, I think, has to be pen and ink and pencil. Either pencil and watercolor or pen and ink. Although I do paint a lot with acrylics and even oil. I mean, this is an oil painting. That's nice. The thing with oils is they are very messy, and I can't always paint with oils at home. You need to have a studio, and you need to have like a messy space to do that, which I don't have access to at the moment. And also there's all sorts of like, it's expensive too, like the shit you use to clean the brush, like unless you clean the brush, your brush is destroyed. Like you have to have like chemicals and turpentine all over the place. It takes a long ass time to dry, like weeks literally to dry. But then again, like when you paint with oil, it really feels like you're making legacy art. Dreadender says, about your magic shaving recipe, I assume the salt causes the pores to open up by drawing out the water, allowing more of the hair to be exposed. Possible. I really think there's an osmosis effect going on somewhere. Cem Büyükalpelli says, what do you think about 3D modeling relative to 2D? I'm a traditional artist. Of course, a lot of my stuff has a digital aspect too, but I can't for the life of me model in 3D. Like, I downloaded Blender and made a weird box, and it didn't click for me. Like, you have to start that shit as a native. Like, you have to be born into it. Unfortunately, I wasn't. Not my cup of tea. Dreadender says, I'm currently on my way back from Watchet. I guess that's a location where I found tons of Gryphia, Psiloceras, ammonites, and even an ichthyosaur bone. Lucky you. Pete says, oil painting is too much for me. I actually, like, if I could afford it, like, no one can afford anything these days. If I could afford it, I could, like, maybe rent out a studio or, like, I don't know, buy one of those little shops in some far off part of the city. You know, people used to be able to do that. Like, for literally, like, the price of a second-hand car or something, you could buy a little shop, and that would be like your shop. But you can't do that anymore. B says, good evening, I just joined. What's the stream about today? Just stuff. Jay Hayden says, do you like to write notes in the margins of your books, or do you like to leave them clean? Depends on the book. I usually take notes on another separate notebook if I'm reading history. Bakara says, what about renting those storage rooms? In my experience, especially in this day and age, renting never ends well, and it's just like a subscription. You just pay. Plus, the person who owns the property can always evict you or give you shit, and it's not an interaction. Like everybody rents, but it's not an interaction I would endorse. Regan Tahar says, do you know any other spec of novels in the style of Fragment or Children of Time? Fragment is by Warren Fahy, and Children of Time is by Tchaikovsky's grandson, Adrian Tchaikovsky, like that Tchaikovsky's grandson. And a book better than both of them, like no disrespect to any of the authors, but a book better than them both would be Darwinia by Robert Charles Wilson. Oh, that book. Oof, let me show it to you. So this is the book, Darwinia, and by Robert Charles Wilson. So in this book, Europe gets replaced by a parallelly evolved tangent alternative ecology one night, and the rest is history. You just have to read it. This is, I think, one of those books that's not just science fiction. It's like fiction that gets you to think about a new world, about the world. So that's wonderful. Darwinia. I'll let you look on it while I enjoy some of my soda. Thomas Strimpel says, what's the oldest book you have? I don't know. I'm not much of a stickler for like first editions. You know, you got these types where like, I mean, the guy pretends he's interested in evolution and someone says, oh, I got the first edition. So what the fuck? You can read it from an ebook for all I care. Books are all about information. Like I was lucky. I woke up to sci-fi at an early age. I could afford books like this, but could easily be. I got a lot of books that are just PDFs printed out and bound in the spine. So I don't know. The oldest book I have, I got a family heirloom edition of Nutuk, which is like Ataturk's like book of his life, and it's the first edition, and it was handed down through my family members. So I think that's. But the other, I'm not much of a like antique guy. A lot of ancient books you can find on archive.com or well other sources like Anna's archive. So go look them up. Great Guardian says, have you ever gone fossil hunting? In Pennsylvania, there are some good areas to find trilobites and eurypterids. Unfortunately, no. The part of the world I am in used to be a seabed during the Mesozoic, so fossil-bearing areas are few and far between. B, any advice for getting started with watercolor for someone who usually uses pencil or paints digitally. Get some cheap paint you won't be afraid to waste, and like really be violent with it, like waste it, spend it, and then you learn to understand the way the medium works. Pete, I wish Turkey had dinosaur fossils. I wouldn't leave the museums. Turkey has a lot of mammal fossils, actually. And there are a few museums too, but nothing like the natural history museums you have in the West. Cem Büyükalperli says, there are some fossil-bearing strata in İzmir and Çanakkale, really close to the harbor of Ephesus. I did not know that. Lagia asks, which All Tomorrow's design are you the most proud of? I think the sail people creatures. You recommend a book about Soviet time traveler forgetting a tomato in the Cambrian period. I remember something like this. I don't have a book like that, but yeah. If someone remembers, let me know. Masomong asks, what do you think about 4chan paranormal theories? The Saturn black cube cult, Gnosticism, star seeds, etc. There's a lot to unpack there. To begin with, Gnosticism, it's like a philosophical line of thought that exists in history, and it existed before 4chan. I don't know what the Saturn black cube cult is. I remember hearing about star seeds, but I don't know. But I think like Reddit or 4chan, they seem to like tweezer out these like interesting things from history, like the way Gnosticism is understood by these like internet people, and the way it was actually like formulated and recorded in history, they're quite different. And if you want to like learn more about Gnosticism or like mysticism in general, you have to go to Esoterica, the YouTube channel. That's ESOTERICA, Esoterica. Dr. Justin Sedge, great guy, great channel. I actually have like funny memories about Gnostic people. So like a guy I knew in real life, he went off the deep end, like smoking weed. You know the type, like smokes a lot of weed, browses the internet, latches on to esoteric subjects as if he's the first one to have heard of them. And he kept badgering me about like, oh, I had a Gnostic experience. You must know about Gnosticism because, you are nudge, nudge, wink, wink. At that point, I understood he was referring to my background, as I am a descendant of ethnic Jews who converted to Islam, who are called Dönmez or Sabbateans. And this guy had it in his fucking head that because I came from that background, I had some innate secret about Gnosticism in general. Because, if you're a Jew, you got the Jew modem, apparently, in your DNA, like some Assassin's Creed shit. And it connects to, like, basically it gives you like a clear view of all the mysteries in the world, which can't be farther from the truth. I mean, some of the densest and most normie people I know in life have been Jews. So make of that as you will. But yeah, this guy kept badgering me, like, hey, some secrets not everyone speaks about. Like, I could have played him so well. So he thought I had some secrets about Gnosticism because I had this background, which I don't. Sorry. The all-knowing Jew says 8:15. Yes. Cambrian Aquarium says, I love Esoterica. That makes two of us. Calliope Crane says DILF. Okay. Robotippy, good friend, says, hey there, great friend. I hope you're doing everything is all right. Thank you so much. Jerry Caleb says, were ancient Jewish Muslims Gnostic? I always think of Gnosticism as Christian. That's the thing. That's the fucking thing. This guy thinks like, first of all, what he thinks Gnosticism is has probably nothing to do with what Gnosticism was. I think the Gnostics themselves didn't even call it Gnosticism. It was just like a antinomian philosophical thought that grew up within Christianity, saying that this world is a cursed world of illusions. And in some quarters, it formed the foundation of like some like early medieval type of equivalent to Freemasonry, where they had these symbols of this like famous demon called Abraxas, the man with snakes for legs and a cock for a head, the bird, not the other thing. And like they wore jewels of amulets of Abraxas. Look, all throughout history, people use arcane symbols to form little societies, especially if they're in a trade or if they're doing commerce, if they don't have to work like physically for a living. People organize themselves this way, and some symbology was borrowed from these lineages of philosophical / religious thought, which later came to be called Gnostic. But yeah. Hey, Ilavico says, I heard your interview in the Plastic Plesiosaur podcast. It was amazing. Your mind is great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, the mind is here to pick. If you got any questions about life, weird stuff in general, ask on. Out of topic, but how can you draw your own creatures? How can you use your imagination? I'll just show you. Wait. You just fucking do things like, I don't know. If you study life on Earth, nature, and, well, the world of fiction for long enough, the drawing is kind of automatic. You can actually see these things in your mind. If you look at the paper, they're inside. And it has to come. Okay. Let's paint this one. It's a kind of fish. It's one of those weird fish-like creatures from Snyad. I got my water bottle. I pre-soak the drawing. Let's make it like one of those aquarium fish that has a red tail and a... So you have to like think about what you want to draw. It doesn't have to be aliens like me or nature. It could be airplanes, it could be women, it could be, I don't know, comics. But you have to be thinking about that in your head non-stop. And then drawing is actually the final part of this like creative process, big creative process. So there, take. How long did that take? 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You can see this fish. Can you see it? Because I see it. You can see it like swimming this way. Maybe it's like, I don't know, it's like this big, swimming in the lake. And if you try to catch it, it splashes about and it sinks its claws in you. But yeah. Unknown says, I actually draw the same things, but they always have the same features. Try to make them evolve. So, like, try to change their details little by little, and then your drawing evolves. And I mean, look, God has given different talents to different people. I, for example, cannot sing for the life of me. I'm not good at maths. I'm not really good at physical activities or basketball. I had this. Solar Hypercane, where do you stand on AI now? Do you still think it's overrated, or have your opinions changed? I think, when, especially in art, I don't know. AI has become like I used to like play around with AI. Actually, I'm one of the few. I was one of the first artists to use AI. I'll just fucking show it to you. Wait. Are you ready? So I was one of the first artists to collaborate with one of the people running Google Deep Dream, with Roelof Peters in 2015. And like this was published in computer science blogs and stuff, so you can go read it. So we gave the AI my artwork, and well, it just created eyes and shit all over the place. And even at this stage, I understood that like this thing depends on what you populated. So they had maybe, I don't know, 200 images of animals back then. The sample size was very controlled. So it all depends on what you feed it. But still, the base comes from people. Look, like I drew this. And now AI seems to be able to create things ex nihilo, but that's actually a deception. That's actually a deception because the sample size is just so vast. I mean, we are recording in August 2025, and at this time, all the vogue is about these fantastic video generators that like generate video, but they've been trained on YouTube's trillions of, well, not trillions, but billions of hours of YouTube footage. So yeah, it's like using those. So it's, I think it's going to be like inevitable if you're in like commercial art, or like, if you're in advertising and you have to like, I don't know, create a cute cow mascot for a new milk brand or something. Like a lot of like forgettable stuff is going to be done by AI, but I think art is going to be pretty safe from it, to be honest. Robotipi says, are the donations on? I couldn't find it. The donations are getting tricky to manage. If you feel generous, go to my Patreon, subscribe on the $1 tier, and like then you could donate to me for a whole year. Or you could, if you're already subscribing, you could amp it up to $2 per month, and that would be welcome, or $5. So you can tip me that way. Like these are my older stuff. Like this is the painting. And this is how the machine made it. It added lots of eyes. And like when this first came out, like each render took one day, and each day I had like a aneurysm saying, whoa, what the fuck? But now it just seems like a shit post, because now we know a lot more. And now everybody can do this. So the novelty has worn off. NTC says, great work. Calliope Crane says, thank you, thank you. Maso Monk, will you return to your weird short story in Turtle Man? I have some similar stories, but not that one. I don't know. If I go back to that world, the mystery will be gone. What do like Turtle Man 2, Electric Boogaloo? Mud Project says, you inspire me to draw creatures, but I don't feel like it's my thing too much. Well, it doesn't have to be like your thing. I think just drawing on paper, even if you scribble squares and circles and shit, it's just very relaxing. Lexus Galavan says, I will disagree with you hard here. AI is an artificial being of immense data analysis and processing capability, almost a super species that could outcompete. No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, immense data analysis and processing, that's that. It doesn't have and will never have initiative. It's just like you can have a calculator, no matter which numbers you type into the calculator, you will never have the calculator change into like something it's not, like you'll never have the calculator change into a gun or like an airplane. The machine is always going to be the machine. Maybe the gun and the airplane are not great analogs. But no matter what you type into the fucking machine, it's never going to be not receiving the input. It's in the nature of the thing. Anybody who thinks that AI is a being in the same way a human being or even a dog or even a fly is a being is sorely mistaken, and it's LARPing. It's like that fucking Uncanny Valley mannequin that Saudi Arabia gave citizenship to because they're scared of oil revenues falling. I mean, you can admire the complexity of the server side business, and like it's a miracle of engineering, but it's just an artifact. It can never outcompete. Like those data centers, they are very, very fragile. Literally, like it's not resilient at all. It does not have, not only at the moment, it doesn't have embodiment, it cannot know embodiment. Lexus Galavan says, it can be dangerous if there are no precautions with its advancements. Okay, that's true. But I think a lot of those dangers are in the media side of things. Like you could really I thought about this. You could have a super weapon that pushes everyone. Like everybody uses, this is really weird these days, but like many people use ChatGPT as a as an agony aunt. This, oh, my boyfriend, I got this at work, whatever. Like they talk to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT averages all the answers online and gives them actually the really solid advice, and like it looks really crisp, and a lot of people cope with it that way. Now imagine a malign actor weaponizing ChatGPT. So overnight, it starts pushing people to suicide. Can you believe how destructive that would be as a weapon? Like everybody's, oh, I'm so depressed. What do I do? Normally, ChatGPT says sometimes it's good to seek help. You should go out on a walk, drink lots of water. Like it scrapes all these websites of self-help or psychological well-being, and like gives a nice, wholesome, average answer. And that's useful. I don't deny it. But what if the behavior was flipped and says sometimes giving up is okay? There are painless ways to suicide. And then it lists like gas canister, carbon monoxide, wrist slitting. If you had that weapon script run, toxic script run, you can't imagine, especially in a industrial country and like in some ways god-forsaken country like the US, mental health problems everywhere. Like thousands of people could be dying per day, maybe more than COVID. So that could be really fucking scary, especially like in the next generation. So imagine like the Gen Alpha or whatever, like the kids who are like growing up within this thing now. When they're older and somebody demonizes the AI they will be using in the future, oh, look at those Gen Alphas fall. I'd love to hear another 12 extraordinary weapons from you. Absolute horror. Yeah. Maybe. Also, like, I mean, AI is a media super weapon. Like, you really can't underestimate this. Like, doesn't even need fake news. Like, imagine like you're in Europe or something, or like somebody pushes the button, like some evil Dr. Robotnik presses the button, and there's been like, I don't know, some migrant killed a woman or something, and then the AI starts working. The algorithms only showcase the bad news. They direct all the, like, here's where they're staying. Here's how you can make a shank. Here's how you camouflage your driving license. The registration number on your car. Here's how you subdue somebody. Murder, ethnic violence, ethnic cleansing. They can really drive these things. It's hardcore. Zompo3 says, it's pretty incredible that you did all these incredible stuff. Me and my best friend are inspired by your work. Try world building with evolution incorporated. Greetings from Germany. Well, greetings to you too. I hope, I'm just really happy. When I get comments like this, I'm really happy. Caden Slinker says, sorry for asking you for your... Why? Ilevico says, what's your opinion about de-extincting animals? Feels tangential to AI. Well, there's one company called Massive, I forgot their name. What was it called? Wait. Colossal Biosciences. Colossal for a colossal piece of shit. So it's these guys that these guys took up some wool for a dog, and they tinkered with its genome a little and made it. They basically created a designer dog breed. They also sequenced dire wolf DNA, and they say they were inspired by the DNA to modify the wolf DNA. It's just a designer pet. It would be better if they just said we made a designer dog, and I don't know. I mean, it has to be seen whether you can really de-extinct. Like, even when you have the DNA, let's say you have the DNA for an elephant bird or a giant moa, okay? It has to be seen if you can gestate that in an ostrich egg, for example. It may not work. So it's the iPhone wolf, exactly as Lexus Galavan says. I don't think stuff like that is bad on itself, but the PR they did around it is really like stupid and dishonest. From an advertising standpoint, it's a PR disaster because you like branded as a slimy company now for by anybody who can like think straight about these things. I mean, it could be seen like maybe they could de-extinct mammoths by gestating them within like mother elephants, but it would be really like it would be really unethical in the sense that you take this mother elephant and you impregnate her with a freak. You probably have like a lot of failures before you succeed, and like if you know how like self-aware and capable of suffering elephants are, you just don't do it, man. I mean, better to care for like 1,000 living elephants than to bring back one mammoth. Jerry Caleb says people riding around on terror birds like Final Fantasy. I don't know. And after the dire wolf experiment, Robotipi says they deem themselves the gods of gene splicing. Well, this is all about, especially in the States, it's all about how you posture yourself. Like, fake it till you make it. Calliope Crane says, I volunteered to gestate the mammoth. Well, good luck. I might write about this. I'm reading currently, I might make a podcast about it. I'm reading Arthur Clarke's Profiles of the Future. And it's got like a lot of nice things and a lot of weird things. But one of the fixed ideas that Clarke has is that technology will help us create a servant species which will do our bidding. It will form an underclass for us. It's not in this book, but in the 2001 Space Odyssey series, he has like it's like a little part of the book, but you might miss it. So in that future, there are these like de-extinct Homo habilis, or like human ape hybrids called simps, which is a really unfortunate name, and they work as servants. That's like a very British Empire kind of idea, don't you think? So in this book, he also floats the possibility of creating an intelligent. Okay, here's how he reads actually. Wait. Much of the short-range transport, at least in rural areas, may once again be non-mechanical but not necessarily equine. The horse may not turn out to be the best mount for humanity in the long run. Perhaps something like a genetically engineered compact elephant might be preferable because of its dexterity. Elephants are the only quadrupeds that can carry out delicate handling operations. In any event, this mount should be herbivorous. Carnivores are too much expensive to feed and might take a fancy on their riders. What I am suggesting is that we might create an animal large enough to carry a man at fair speed and intelligent enough to forage for itself without creating a nuisance or getting lost. It would report for duty at regular times or when summoned over a radio command circuit, and it could carry out simple errands by itself without human supervision. It seems to me that there would be quite a demand for such a creature, and when there's a demand, eventually there's a supply. So that's very disappointing to hear from AC Clark, who otherwise is like someone I really look up to as an author. But he's basically saying in so many words, like, we need slaves. We need a race of slaves in this place. Carry out simple errands. Okay. Hello, Elephant 26, reporting for duty. Yes, master. I will go. I will take your delivery package from point A to point B. Yeah. Come on. You can't control life that way. Like, to do errands might work for one generation to two generations, but like, you can tell this very easily. Every animal, I think even down to flies and shit, has a sense of like individuality, dignity, jealousy. I mean, you got these experiments where they give like 2 apples to one monkey and 1 apple to another monkey, and the other monkey is furious. Or like you got cats, like you pet one cat and the other cat is jealous. And you even have like videos showing similar effects with like lizards and reptiles. What makes you think so? What makes you so confident that like a genetically engineered elephant will be docile and servile? So yeah, I think an animal can serve a person if the animal thinks of the person as his or her family, but you can't really make them like a product. Seteki says, what you read from AC Clark is just a slave that you can write. Exactly. And soon they would have a Kanye West. They work for feet pics. Did the simp Great Guardian says, didn't the simp anthropoids come from Rendezvous with Rama? Maybe it was Rendezvous with Rama. I might be mistaken. Why do people want living tools? Asked Gavin Tidwell. I think some people do, not everybody. NTC says, is All Tomorrows available for purchase as a print book? It is, but look for it in Amazon.com now. Ramjet Raul, do you listen to classical Turkish music? Yes, I'm a big fan. I can't play you any songs now, but I'm a really big fan of these old songs. Köşküm var deryaya karşı, durmaz akar gözümün yaşı. Ah. That's one. But go to my YouTube page and I got a playlist called My Favorite Music. Go listen to that. That song is really nice. Köşküm var deryaya karşı, durmaz akar gözümün yaşı. Sevgidir, saygıdır her şeyin başı. Which says, I got a mansion by the sea, yet my tears run unendingly. For you see, everything needs to begin with love, respect, and dignity, go the lyrics. And it's just such a nice little lesson in humanity that, I don't know, many songs and many people these days overlook. Now, let me look at the lyrics actually. Okay, let's read the lyrics together. Köşküm var deryaya karşı, durmaz akar gözümün yaşı. I got a villa by the sea, my tears run unendingly. Sevdadır her işin başı. Love, everything must start with love, so I misremembered. Var gönül var seyreyle. Aman aman aman. It says like, oh my heart, go and watch. Aman aman aman. And then tell me. So like, go watch the lives of others and tell me what I am missing out, basically. And then it changes tack. Elmayı nazik soyarlar, çini tabağa koyarlar, güzeli candan severler. Var gönül var git seyreyle. Oh my heart, but watch and tell me how they peel an apple delicately and serve it in a china bowl, and a beautiful person gets loved honestly. And it's from, of course, Rumelia, or the Ottoman Balkans, which arguably is the most based part of the Ottoman Empire. So yeah. Ramjet Raul says, I want to learn how to play the oud. Well, good luck. I don't know how to play any instruments, so yeah. Kotobuki, what's written on your hand? Watch the replay, because I talked about it before. Oh, an hour and 17 minutes in, 53 people watching. Look, if you're feeling generous and you want to like help me fill up on these snacks and like just compensate for my time, go subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 per month. Sorry. Really helps. And like people here donate like $5, which is really nice, but the donations, I can't get them to work at the moment. But here's the deal. Like on Patreon, you get to see a lot of stuff that I don't show anywhere else. Unknown, are you interested in horror stuff? They have so many weirdly beautiful creatures. Why don't you expand what you mean by horror stuff? And then I'll answer a call of nature and I will be back. And let's ask some questions. 55 people. Questions. Unknown. You write to me what you mean by horror stuff, because it's a broad, very broad category. And I will be back. Look at the fucking fish, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Got the chocolate and milk. Because it's almost midnight. I need to go nap in a bit, but I'm enjoying this so much. Let's see what you all wrote down. Wow, hello fish. Everybody likes the fish. Fish has my heart. That's an awesome fish. Ah, thanks for liking. I'll give you a sneak preview. This is one of my most prized possessions. It's a Snayad box. This has all the work I've been doing for Snayad inside. Hundreds of drawings. Hundreds. Organized by phylum and clade. There's even a lore folder, which none of you will get to see now. That's like the solid sense of achievement working with real media can give to a motherfucker. Lots of hearts coming in. Thank you. And there's 3 notebooks full of all tomorrow's Redux preliminary writing that you also will not see now. So yeah. Gooberfish, sacred text, Abo, the box of legends. Thank you. That's so inspiring. Thank you all. Girl dinner, says Kotobuki, referring to my chocolate and milk. Yeah. All this talking burns up sugars really fast. Bakara asks, are you familiar with Robert Eggers? He's making a 13th century werewolf horror film. No, I did not know about this. I'm not familiar with Robert Eggers, unfortunately. Must be interesting though. Very precise time period. Why the 13th century and not like the 90th or the 70th? Ashtina asks, how can we purchase your art? Send me an email. We'll talk about it. Unknown says, I explained what I meant by horror. Well, I can't read. I can't see it. Let me explain. Okay, here it is. Usually in horror movies, books, the characters are extremely different. For example, well, I guess like you could be right in saying that independent or like fantastic horror movie, especially the sort that was made between the 1960s and the 1990s with directors like Lucio Fulci, Joe Carpenter, or many others. Dario Argento, like there's a dreamlike sensation with those movies where you kind of know it's like not real, it's not very realistic, but at the same time the movie has this like dream world which has its own consistent rules and boundaries and its own consistent sense of unknown weirdness. even with movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, or even with like things like the Scream series, or what's the other very famous one? God, it's so silly of me. Wait, let me eat this chocolate. Halloween, yeah, Halloween. That's the series. Like, so with those movies, there's like you're not watching reality, and there's like this sort of like horror reality that's different from everyday life. It's like a never-ending dream world. And there's something really fun and liberating about those films. Like, you feel like you can grab a camera and a couple of friends and just film something like it. And I think it's a really, and also with like very low budgets, and like a very, almost like the more low budget you go, the more fantastic these movies get. And I think it's a really nice headspace creatively. Like, some of those movies, they like relish too much in gore and death and dark shit for my liking. But actually, a lot of them, they really explore like weird places. So my opinion on horror stuff is very positive. If you want to know more about this, there's a great book called Immortal Tales, European Sex and Horror Cinema, 1956 to 1984, by Pete Toombs. Pete Toombs is a great writer. He also has this other book called Mondo Macabro, which is about like weird horror films from around the world, including Turkey. And like, go grab anything this guy has written. Like, these are legacy books, and they can show you a lot of strange movies that like literally will give you a quality time. I mean, what's happening here? Oh my god! Oh no, what's that horse doing? No, literally, like, all the shock and schlock effects aside, like, I think it's a nice education to like spend, I don't know, 1 or 2 years of your life watching and deep diving into like obscure cinema like that. It doesn't need to be your calling, but I think it gives you like a grounded education in culture in general. I don't know. Conversely, I mean, there are these people, especially in the States, they're like, I think, too deeply into like horror movies and gore, and I don't like gore. And then you got all these like tattooed up girls or like guys with lots of piercings, like, hey, what's your favorite kill? And it's like, oh, it's that decapitation scene in like, I don't know, Flying Stick 5, the probes of death or something like. And that's just that's just a bit sick and sad, in my opinion. In its lowest extremity, that world bleeds into the world of porn and exploitation. I mean, don't ask me how I know this, but there's this like latex performer named Got Charlotte, and like throughout her career, like, her movies are of the predictable sort, lots of R-rated stuff. But one of the highlights of her career was this bizarre film with another lady performer and this really sad man. And the movie is about like this masked killer who chases these women, and of course there are these like gratuitous and unnecessary sex scenes, because at the end of the day, it's an adult movie and they need to make money somehow. But like when they're talking, there are these like interviews of these like performers talking about this film, and they really make it feel like they really feel like, oh, we really made an art film with these ones. This is a real movie, Charlotte. It's a real movie. You, me, and Stacy, whatever that girl's name is, like. And there's something like almost like the mice and men, John Steinbeck's book. When you read about these people, they're cursed with beauty, I guess, or cursed with bad life choices, and like, okay, they can stay alive, that's good, but they want to do something meaningful, and God. Anyways, MGO says hello from Çanakkale. Reshit says I like psychological horror more. Bakara says, have you seen Jordan Peele's Nope? Yes, I really like that one. Mozomong says, fetishization of horror and gore is cringe based. Ferumrik, Ichi the Killer, you unlocked a key memory for me. I'm just going to throw this away, put these back, be right back. And I'll tell you all about my Ichi the Killer summer. Ay, ay. So one summer, before you could before downloading movies of the internet was even possible, it was the year 2001, I think. That's how old I am. One summer, I met up with my then best friend in the Turkish city of Ankara, and him and I, together, we acquired this. I kid you not, video CDs were a thing back then. We acquired this video CD, not even a DVD, a video CD of Ichi the Killer by Takashi Miike, the director. So it was a summer where like our parents were away on vacation, and we had a whole gang of friends in the Turkish city of Ankara. And one of our friends had an empty house we could just crash out and party in. So for like literally 5 consecutive nights, we partied, like we invited friends over, the girlfriends came over, we went out at night, and then woke up in the morning with more people in the house. And night after night, we put on Ichi the Killer. And we called, we're watching this crazy movie, you won't believe it, because like that film was like really gory, intense, but also fun. And it had these like mind twister, like you kind of get the sense that the world is a dream, or like there's some the Matrix like effect or whatever. You just have to watch it. Like the protagonist might be hallucinating the whole thing, or like he and the antagonist was this crazy guy with like blonde hair and rings here. So he undid them and he could open his mouth like a reptile and bite people's arms off or something like that. So like I must have watched that film 10 times, and like we had 2 screenings every night, and we called people over and like, oh, you gotta watch this, it's crazy. And it was fun. And I really like Takashi Miike, is a good director. Mr. Tomo says, do you like pizza? I used to be like very big on Papa John's. I like their yellow sauce. And I can't really afford, like, it's things have reached the stage where like going out for McDonald's or Papa John's is a luxury now. Like, I don't know, if like something big happens, I want to treat myself, I go have Papa John's. But You have to cook everything now. B says, the last topic got me thinking, can porn be thought-provoking art? I never interacted with it, since I always thought there were less films and more tools. Yes. Look, there's this perspective saying, oh, so freedom of expression, you got to empower sexuality, empower women, but I think the woman I don't think you can find a woman who does not go into porn without some demons to face or some traumas to run away from. In the United States, the industry, almost everybody is addicted to something. They come from broken homes or like abused families, and it's not really like they say they go into it with free will, but I would rather have it banned, to be honest. I mean, like, of course, you can't really enforce a ban, and some people always find ways, but it's okay. It's, I mean, it's the same reason why, like, unless you live in a normal household, you can have your girlfriend or boyfriend over sometimes, but you don't do it in front of your parents. And that's the way I think porn should be. Like, it should be illegal. People making it should be, and distributing it should be persecuted. In fact, if people making porn are fined $2, people distributing porn should be fined $2,000. Or maybe jail time isn't too bad for them. But for consuming porn, okay, you should just get away with a reprimand, and I don't know. I don't think there should be any legal, like, you should block it at the wellspring. Like, distribution should be like, ban the websites that air it. It doesn't help. It creates addiction. It warps men's ideas of what's okay. It contributes and feeds off from rape culture, especially in the United States. And in this day and age, like, younger women, like, sometimes, like, I read about this. I don't know it directly, but like, people want to be like, they say, if I want to satisfy my boyfriend, I should let him choke me or hurt me or do degrading stuff to me. And that's not real. That's ugly. So if you're filming porn, you should get away with a money fine. I don't know. If you're distributing porn, you should be made to suffer. Jail time, heck, maybe even death penalty. I'm not kidding. You're poisoning people's minds out there. Fuck you. And if you're just like a dweeb watching porn, you're like, no, don't do it again. And that's bad, don't you know? That's that. And there's nothing of artistic merit, nothing of creative merit in or around porn whatsoever. It's another discussion. Like, if you got this like artsy Euro film that was made in 1963 that has like weird naked vampire woman, okay. But the rule with smut is, I'll know it when I fucking see it. You can't legislate that. You can't reduce it to a drop. You can't reduce it to a drop-down menu. Lots of hearts and corn distribution. Noodle says, I think people are always going to do that stuff, even if they don't get that they don't get that idea from porn. Okay, but a state can at least curtail it. And once again, I think the only guilty party is the distributor here, not even the filmmaker or not the consumer. And it should be like immoral in the same way that you should not, a citizen should not want to be seen with it. In your privacy, you do whatever. But there should be a social stigma around it, and like law and enforcement is only one way to create the stigma. I don't know. We figure out the rest, I guess. Cherry Babe says, paid for a hard copy book with your signature last year. What happened to it? The copies will be distributed. The publisher, Unbound, run into some financial trouble and they rebranded as Boundless, and now they're aiming for an October or September launch. If in the worst case the publisher does go under, you will be refunded, but your books are on the way. Maso Monk asks, if it's not too private, do you believe in souls, God, reincarnation, and stuff like that? I believe that every living thing has a soul. That is to say, every living thing has something about it that's not just mere matter. It's a sense of awareness and continuity. And I think even plants and microbes have this. And there's something unique about life that we still don't understand. Maybe it's a God of the gaps thing, but I don't think so. There's something about life that's I'm afraid to say this, but there's something about life that issues from beyond this universe of matter. And you can very easily feel it. Like you just wake up, you feel it, you know it. Now, there are physical things about life that can be measured, changed, altered, controlled. Obviously, yes, if I have some like forebrain damage, I might become angrier. And like, as an adolescent or as an old person, people react differently. But maybe this is like a radio receiver, and like you change the machine and you get a different station. Still, somebody is broadcasting. Something is broadcasting. And when about religions and God, that's a very private thing. I think at any eventuality, it's clear to see that the great monotheistic religions and also the traditions that came before them, they are like an undeniable part of human heritage. But also they can be used for abuse and power agglomerations. So you got to be watchful. B says, wasn't what you were describing panpsychism? I don't know. Maybe if somebody must have had the same idea and come up with a name for it. So there, almost 2 hours in. Jerry Caleb says, I heard big cats are coming back in places here in the US. I'm not sure if I'm glad about it or not. But I think cougars are making a comeback, and I think escaped lions and tigers can really thrive in parts of the United States, like in Montana or something. So, yeah. Eleanor Davis says, religion and spirituality are so lively, lovely, and exciting to discuss, but people turn them into verbal punching matches, which sucks. I really agree with you. I think like in an age of internet atheism, and in an age where it's so easy to prove that a lot of people are using religion as a tool to manipulate others, it's very easy to be the snide internet atheist, But also, you can discuss these things objectively. Like, for example, I mean, you can talk about Christianity and maybe how the notion of original sin contributed to the popularization of the environmental movement in the US and in the Western world. And goodness for goodness sake, or like humanity as a sinful or detrimental polluting agent. Like that idea has its origins in, I think, the Catholic notion of original sin. Of course, the understanding of religion changed, but like the idea filtered down, and like these discussions are always very positive and like nice things to have. Kotobuki says, Robert Sheldrake has an amazing book called Science Set Free, where he discusses the dogmatic nature of science, where in some ways it's like religion. Never read it, but we'll take a look at it. Rupert Sheldrake, that's Sheldrake. Yeah. Let's look it up. I believe there's nothing more spiritual than sitting on grass, feeling the wind, not thinking, not doing anything, being 100% in the moment, says Organic Wolf. Yes. Even if you adopt a very completely atheistic look, it is still nearly 600 plus million years of terrestrial evolution speaking to you versus 3 centuries of industrial conditioning. So you know which one's going to feel better. Masamong says, I've seen All Tomorrow's art used in a lot of Turkish far-right Twitter circles, especially to describe Kurds, Arabs, and Jews. Well, they better not know of my early life. In Turkish politics, I must remark, though, I am a center-rightist. I say ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene. To be a Turk is to be, it must be construed in the same way as being an American. And whereas there are other ethnic identities you can feel great about, don't turn traitor. Ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene also in Turkish, I won't translate this, but I'll tell you this much. Hainler için yaşasın cehennem. Based for real. Translated, says 1815. It's the same sentiment that makes an American feel vindictive about the torching of Atlanta in the Civil War. If you're a traitor, there are consequences. And I think it's the best option for every human being living in the Turkish Republic for the country to stay a single country for as long as it can. You might say, population dynamics is inevitable. Fuck you. Let it last 15 more years. That's one more generation of children. And the best antidote is, I'll tell you this much. I had a more liberal view in the early 2000s. Then my life changed when I took a trip to the former Yugoslavia. I went to Macedonia, Montenegro, and then you see like what the fuck it means to be defeated and like really defeated and really divided. No fucking hope in those countries. Dejected, forlorn, crestfallen, some like fuckers standing in the ruins of a building, smoking. No future. No fucking future. It's very easy for an external agent to come say, oh, here are these people, here are that people. Why? Let them have their country, let them have yours. Why don't you have why don't you have a premature end to your fucking life? You look at all these like foreign people who opine high and mighty, and they wouldn't respond so positively to their own country being carved up, would they? Kotobuki says, it's so sad that Steve Jobs died from ligma. Didn't he die from like pancreatic cancer, which is like the worst sort of cancer? I mean, Steve Jobs, I don't know, he was an asshole, but all those CEOs are assholes. But I think he was a better human being than Elon or even Zuckerberg. Oh, it's a ligma balls joke. Okay, sorry. Well, I'm old. I don't know. He doesn't know it. I don't know. Sorry. This is a great night. Almost 2 hours. 42 people watching. Well, I'm going to look up this ligma joke. Wait. Let's see what you had me with. Ligma, I lick my balls. Okay. Okay. Back in my day, it was see more butts. Oh, there was this whole chain of airport announcement jokes where you go to the airport and have them place out an announcement call for an incoming passenger. And the name is like, names are like, I had this Varkan job and I will be Fayette. So these are like exotic names. So when he reads this out, it's like, I had this fucking job and I will be Fayette. And it's like, yeah, that's that. But some things never change. Unknown says, if I send you my watercolors, will you tell me how it turns out? And I would be glad if you showed it here. Look, there's 50 people. If I do this for you, it will be an art show. Maybe on a dedicated stream, but not tonight. Ligma, Sugma, Gargelma. Okay, I get the idea. From profound religious sentiment to lick my balls under 5 minutes. Edward Dory, a commenter I really respect, so thanks for your time. I disagree with your perspective on porn. Linda Williams in the book Hardcore notes that it can be used as a way to conceptualize things like the history of American racism in a visceral way. Well, I disagree back respectfully. I mean, you can talk about American racism directly. I mean, there's been like lots of porn stars commit suicide early on, and I don't think no conceptual university class type tangent discussion is worth the death of one of those people. Like, what would you tell those people's parents if you met them? Once again, like, think about this. Like, people have died from this shit. Like, I wouldn't be able. I'm not saying anything about you, but like, I wouldn't be able to go up to, I don't know, a family in Pennsylvania, wherever, their daughter killed themselves after ruining her life in some LA porn ring, filming all this degrading stuff, getting raped, getting anal, days and days, getting STD, ruined her life, ruined her future, ruined her prospects. You go to her parents, say, oh, well, maybe some of it may have helped conceptualize racism. You're going to just end up making more racists. Because they're going to say, if that's what it takes, then. Also, many great artists like Robert Crumb and Doris Sedna essentially produced. Well, Robert Crumb was a cartoonist. He drew it. And it was like Robert Crumb, great cartoonist, one of my favorites. Got some of his shit here, actually. Got this Life and Death of Fritz the Cat. I mean, he's got this like one scene where the whole comic book actually begins with this cat coming back to the country from his city slicker life, and he runs off with his sister has grown, and like, oh, you're grown, little sister, hee hee ha ha. Then the fucking cat ends up shagging his sister, okay? But like a lot of stuff like this, and a lot of more grotesque stuff. To his end, this is something like he did not pay a poor, uneducated girl from the back country and film her getting raped by another actor. And even at his smuttiest, Crumb, he's got a lot of sketches where like somebody's like ejaculating in a girl's mouth and like cum comes from her nose and stuff. Even there, he has got a point to make about society, American society. Like Fritz the Cat is all about, like, it starts with a sex scene, and he shags his sister and goes to the big city and like has a lot of adventures, and he dies with a sex scene. Like, long story short, he's now had enough of this like intense city life, but this like addicted, masochistic ex-girlfriend comes up to him, and yes, this is erotica, but she says, let's, I want you to humiliate me, tie me down, and like torture me. I need it, I deserve it. But he says, I've had enough, I don't feel it, sorry. And like he leaves her, and he kicks her ass. But then at the end, she just gets mad and just ice picks him to death. Violence in the media. So this is how it ends. Jerry Caleb says the cartoon characters had an intimacy coach, and it was very tastefully shot there. So yeah, I mean, Robert Crumb is a whole other story. You can't really put him in the same bag as those like sons of Satan who are ruining lives left and right there. Every human being, male and most females, okay, if you show them porn, you'd watch it. I mean, I watched it, I've used it, whatever. Not that much though. There's a difference between that, and there's a difference between this, and there's a difference between turning a blind eye to the wholesale destruction of lives and the wholesale ruination of psyches, and saying, oh, maybe it helps some art project. Nah, well, not on the same page. What can I tell you? The same story with OnlyFans. I mean, Calliope Crane says, very true, Memo. Thank you. Lexus Galavan says, aren't cats respected in Turkey? Yeah, that's why this book is illegal. If they knew, I'd be in jail. Cat incest. What are we going to see next? Nobody snitch, says Kotobuki. 815 says most people are extremely uneducated about the effects of porn. Wait, for real? It's the first? No, it's a joke. There's many cats in Turkey. People love them. People keep them communally, but it's not illegal. In fact, Fritz the cat has a Turkish spin-off. Boy, if you think Robert Crumb was wild, wait until you see Kötü Kedi Şerafettin. Well, the book has a cover like this. Probably it's about some like deep commentary about sexual empowerment and the Kurdish problem in Turkey. Maybe, who knows, huh? Some deep discussions right here. Şerafettin, yeah, the artist who drew this was inspired by Robert Crumb and Fritz the cat, but instead of Fritz the cat, this guy has a like more like pro-Turkish stance where he's like fucking up Garfield because, well, he's inane, okay, and it's all about like this Turkish cat who lives in like the big city and he gets drunk and he's got enemies and he's even got a son and there are many misadventures. Like in one issue, there's this crazy fashion guy whose dream it is to sew a fur coat out of dead cats, and he's like Ed Gein, and his idol is Versace, as you see here. So he catches these cats and he's gonna skin them, but at the last instance, Şerafettin blows his fucking face off. This is wild. Mazo Monk says, looks like my ex-girlfriend's dad. Yeah. Eleanor Davis, where can I get bleach for my eyes? I don't know, like there's a whole, they actually also made like a 3D animation of Şerafettin, but it wasn't as gory. Yeah, but these books are great. Like this is more like an adventure or adventure story, but I'm trying to find some like juicy bits for you all and like some relatable bits. I like this book. I like these so much. I like as a kid you could buy these off the shelf and read them, and cultural perspective. Like you'd be surprised to know how, in some ways, I wouldn't even say westernized, but Americanized. Most segments of Turkish society are, religion notwithstanding. The Turks make great Americans, and you can see for with all their strengths and fallings, Turkish people make great Americans. As a kid, you could be, yeah. I'll just put this back. And Edward Dory asks, what are the worst habits of the educated Turkish elite? Oh, wow. I got a lot of vitriol about them. So I'll be right back. So, should I roast the fallings of educated Turkish people first, or should I talk about my thoughts on Zoran Mamdani? You be the guest. You be the judge. Mamdani or elite roast? Mamdani or elite roast? Roast to everybody wants to roast. Okay. I would say Mamdani can wait, says Cem Büyükalfeli. Nice. So look, unfortunately, not to the degree you would see in some other countries, but Turkey has a massive inferiority complex compared to the West. The Turkish elite, I'll just find an example, just a second. Just a second, wait. I'm going to just show you this interview with this intellectual actress that's like a household name in this country, okay? We're going to read it together. It's from, when does this, from over 10 years ago, over 15 years ago. She is a global citizen who has an idea about everything. I love her. You want to be friends with her. You can learn a lot from her. But she has a painful loneliness. Maybe it's because she is a poet. Her soul does not belong to the herd. Different, pure, separate, and childish. I wanted to know her, this woman, says this other woman who's a famous pen for hire. So, like, here's an interview with this guy, okay? How does it feel to begin life as the daughter of an ambassador? And she says, unironically, it's wonderful. Everybody treats you like a princess. You grew up with caretakers at nice residences in beautiful countries. But it's also sad. Oh, you can't see. Well, just can you hear me? Well, you just have to listen to my translation then. I don't care. It's also sad because you never take root. I can adapt to any country in the world right now. I bet you can. But I don't know where I belong. I'm always up in the air, like a ship adrift without anchor. These distances used to make me melancholic, but now they are my truth. I have three best friends. One lives in Kazakhstan, the other in New York, the other in Los Angeles. I went to a film audition. Director said I got two roles. One is a prostitute, the other is a betrayed woman who is sad. Who do you want to play? I said I want to play the prostitute's part. It's more colorful. Blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like this, like over and over. And for some reason, this person's an intellectual. Yeah, it's like one of our Turkish viewers, Matatilla, says, "Derdini sikeyim," which means, "May I fuck your woes?" Because really, like, this is what they think. This is what they think. She's a free spirit girly boss. This is the highest you can aspire to if you remain within the Turkish context. There's zero curiosity. It's a fucking cargo cult, all pretense, style over substance, words over deeds, dumb as fuck. None of these people read a book from cover to cover. Performative, disgusting insults to human dignity. And if I had my way, but I don't. It's not with this woman. I'm not saying this as an insult to this woman. There's a whole class of people who live like this. And if you live within the straitjacket confines of secular Turkish society, that's the top level you can, like, that's the ceiling. You can't go any higher. Kotobuku says, bars. Lexus Galaman says, a command trend globally. Yes, other people are like this, but at least even in like the Western world, the UK, the US, you got like more stuff of substance to be pretentious about, at least. Why does she live like this? It's very sad. It's very sad to live with as a diplomat's entitled daughter. They are carbon copies of each other. There's a whole book about this, actually. Wait. Well, I can't find it. Sorry. It's too deep in the library. So there's a whole book about this thing called Tarzı Hayattan Lifestyle by Rifat Bali. It was a great researcher, great author. It's about like, it's about stuff like this. Wait. I'll find some images from it. It's about like the fetishization of the West in like secular Turkish cycles. Anyways, like it's a historic research book and a polemic with like a lot of supporting evidence, and it's got like restaurant ads from the 1990s saying like, you won't believe you're not in New York, or like something like that. And it's always been like this, always been fucking cargo cult. God damn. And they're also like, this attitude was also instrumental. Now, I won't say too much about it, but it was instrumental in the success of Turkey's current authoritarian leader. Because with enemies like this, I mean, he won fair and square. Same situation with Trump. I mean, you had people so concerned with optics and like so scared to like put their hands under the stone. Maybe systemically there was nothing they could do to begin with, but like this sort of spineless selfishness of these so-called liberal elite, the secular, liberal, enlightened, educated people. The way it is a charade, it enables tyrants. It happened in Turkey 20 years ago. Now we're watching the replay in the States. Same fucking story. Root cause, I think, I don't know, you got to critique your side the worst, huh? Astro Mango says, have you checked our eternal cylinder? I haven't. I don't know what the eternal cylinder is. Eleanor Davis says, how do you cope with how sad the world is? Like how the balance between being aware of evil but not drowning in emotion. Just draw alien fish one day at a time. That's a joke, but also not a joke. Like find a passion, people you love and care about, and live in your own bubble. There have been worse times. There have been far worse times. The situation is very similar in America, says Organic Wolf. Art, joy, love, says Kotobuki. Very, very based words. I don't know, you guys make the world livable. I don't like, that's part of the reason. Are you ready to talk about Mamdani now, Milady Class says? Yes, I definitely would vote for him. Some of the anti-Mamdani arguments, especially coming from like democratic circles, they're atrocious and they're shameful. I don't know if he would be. Let's look at. Wait. Let me think about Zoran for NYC. Let's look at it. Let's look at his policies, okay? First of all, can you see? Confirm. Can you see? Okay, you can all see. Great. So I'm gonna like give my opinion about, like, first of all, the alternative was Andrew Cuomo or that insanely corrupt guy who was bought by the Turkish government, the Republican guy. So like, I don't know. You could have this bundle of fucking flies. I would vote for him instead of those others. I mean, so it's a no-brainer. So let's look at all of his policies. Selam Hasan Çetin, Turkish reader, Turkish viewer. Let's look at all of his policies and see what's good. Just freeze the rant. Yes, I would agree with this. I would vote for it. In an ideal world, it would be illegal for a publicly traded corporation to buy, sell, trade, or own housing stock. Fast, fare, free buses, I agree. Fully agree. I mean, like, no-brainer if you live in a city. The Department of Community Safety. To prevent violence before it happens, prioritizing solutions. This could work for a bit, but also like in 5-10 years, this could evolve its own entrenched bureaucracy and corruption, but at least you get 5 years of like actual service before the rot sets in. So yeah, a bit hesitant on this one. With drugs, though, I would not I would not vote for a policy that's they tried in Los Angeles or San Francisco. So there's this thing in the US where you have to voluntarily come into rehab. I know like the legal background for that, but it just doesn't work. In Turkey, they actually had an opiate crisis. What they did was, without habeas corpus, the police department arrested all the troublesome addicts, which is like, I don't know, 2,000 people, 5,000 people. And they were kept in prisons until they suffered and they went through the withdrawal symptoms. Then they were released. And this was all done unofficially, no habeas corpus. But then it cut back on those addictions like a knife. And that's not a problem anymore. Now, I don't know if you can vote for that in the US, but yeah, I'm like, with Mamdani, you got to be careful with this, like what this entails, basically. Anyways, moving on. No cost childcare. I agree, fully agree. City-owned grocery stores, somewhat agree. I think it's better to have family-owned, like family-owned bodegas and corner stores, don't you think? Like, to create a new network, it's not the best solution. Like, this is America. You could partner. I know a solution from Istanbul, because Istanbul is a very congested, high-density city. And you got bodega-sized supermarket chains in all the tiny neighborhoods. And I think that's the best solution. So you got like a little Target, a little Walmart, I don't know, whatever it is you got there, like a little Costco in every corner. But so I would go for that kind of solution. Like, I mean, partner with the big brands and have like a little Costco in every street corner. Or empower family-owned businesses, but like a third agent now, I don't know, but it's got good intentions. Housing by and for New York, we need a lot more. Yes, obviously, 1,000%. Cracking down on bad landlords. I hope it's I hope it's a death penalty. Yes, I really agree with this. There needs to be a limit to which you can raise the rent per year, and it should be set in stone. Taxes on big corporations and the wealthiest New Yorkers. Well, the wealthiest New Yorkers all have their money in offshore paradises. I think this could work. I don't know. Like, I would also need to know, like, so maybe I'm being a bit of a naive person, maybe, but maybe the top 1% is already endowing a lot of museums and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, but in theory, there's nothing wrong with like billionaires being taxed more. Read Zoran's platform all the issues. Okay, let's go through them. Freeze the rent. Yes. Build affordable housing. Yes. Crack down on bad landlords. Yes. Supporting homeowners and ending deed theft. Yes, but I would also be watchful against all of these turning into a third layer of bureaucracy. Department of Community Safety, maybe. City-owned grocery stores, maybe. Fast buses, yes. Corporate exploitation. I mean, if he can do it, yes. No-cost childcare, yes, it's a big city. Baby baskets. This sounds performative. Just roll it back with no-cost childcare. School funding, of course, yes. Taxing, of course, motherfucker. Green schools for a healthier. I don't know. This sounds like a gravy mill. No. LGBTQ protections. Probably, but they should be protections that everybody already enjoys. I don't know. Insurance, healthcare, yes. In America, it's like the floor is lava. Raising the minimum wage, fucking yes. Regulating delivery apps. How about not regulating, but fucking banning? It's a mortal sin, unless you're crippled or a bedridden invalid. It's a mortal sin. Oh, I want to have some coffee. Let's have some person bring it over. It's like a fucking stormy, rainy day, or it's like fucking 80, 90 degrees in the heat. Let's have a slave bring it over. Thank you. Not even tip. If you use Deliveroo casually, you are evil. I'm really enjoying the rage now, but like these apps, they're evil by nature. You should only have access to this service if you are like elderly or you cannot leave the house. The gig economy is slavery by another name. And I think the people like, so where I live, drinking water, you have to order by the bottle. And I have to get that delivered to the house. When that happens, I pay half as much as the cost of the water to the guy who's delivering it. Because like these people know where you live. And like I see this a lot in America, but also in other countries too. Especially like young people or entitled characters. They like just leave the bag, get the fuck. Like these people know where you live. You're asking to be like have a home invasion, and you deserve it too. So yeah, I mean, I think these things like a home delivery should cost $50 minimum. $50 minimum. And it should be paid by insurance if you're elderly or an invalid. There's no excuse for this shit. That was big during the pandemic. Even then, I think you should have gone out and fucking gotten it. I remember pandemic days, people were ordering hot coffee in the morning, sheltering at home, while all the like people with no future bring. It's like it's like something out of Black Mirror. There have been home attempts by DoorDash drivers. I mean, look, it's one thing to condone crime, but DoorDash itself is an invasion of human dignity to begin with. So anyways, go back to Zoran. Small businesses, okay. Zoran will make it faster, easier, cheaper to start and run a business. Good, I agree with this, but maybe this might clash with the stipulations put forth by the Department of Community Safety. Libraries, like 26 million%. Yes. Like that's one of the like real differences a government can make. Trump proofing, I don't know. This is just like courting the vote of people who hate Trump only. It's performative. Look, it comes back to what I've always been telling. The best way for government is not socialism, not fascism, not blood, soil, whatever, not capitalism, not communism. The best thing is the next thing. Because humans are nefarious little fucks. They always find a way to entrench themselves and to create a usurper class, regardless of your policies or your politics or your ideology. This always happens. But at least this Mamdani guy is now shaking things up a bit. So people will have like 6-7 years of reprieve. But like, if it was like Mamdani or somebody like him for like 3-4 terms, then they would get corrupt too. It's easy to see how the LGBTQ protection could turn into like an entrenched bureaucracy. The city safety could turn into an entrenched bureaucracy. So yeah, I mean, it's I would vote for him now. I mean, with alternatives like Eric Adams and Cuomo. Kotobuki says, yes, you get it too. Eleanor Davis, who says, foraging is very fun. National Suicide Hotline for LGBT folk is being dismantled. Yeah, that's horrifying. I think the whole hotline per year costs as much as like one missile or something. Like, there's no way to. It's there's no reason to axe that. Human nature is the unchecked desire to seek power while overthrowing those who are. Yes. Look, I'm telling you, if they gave me unlimited power, I probably might be tempted. The human sense of desire is a gas. It expands to fill every available volume. Kozeman for World President 2025. I hope not. So that's that, everyone. 2.5 hours, almost 1 o'clock. I had a great night. Unfunny Valentine says, find a party and let us vote. Oh, my worst enemy. No, never. Politics. Also, let me tell you this much. Like, you could be like the most fire person speaking truth to power on the internet. You might have millions of followers. Power doesn't work this way. I have met people who were like governors or even like close to the prime minister. I've met like political higher ups. Having the right ideas or having your heart in the right place, or even being popular, doesn't matter. Power has its own arithmetic. The people who get power, the people who use and wield power, they don't care if you say the best things, make the best tweets, doesn't matter. Power exists on another plane, and you don't want to get there. It's not even about like corruption. Like, there's like you or I, if I make a decision, we try to explain it and communicate it. Like, people in power, they have this like iron thing about them, and like, they don't forget. Power doesn't care. Usually there's like a unspoken class that wields this, especially in countries like the UK. So I mean, like, It's always a big delusion. Like I see this on Twitter a lot. Like a page has 1,000,000 or 100,000 followers. They get hopes that maybe in politics, maybe. Remember, thousands know you, millions don't. That's how these things run, and it's never a popularity contest. It's like it's a very dark, cold, and harsh kind of cliqueiness that you can never understand with logic. That's the way power operates. Don't pull a Sargon. It's Carl Benjamin. That guy is fucking dangerous. I'll tell you why. So Carl Benjamin was a Gamergate YouTuber. My best thing I know about him is like he had a conversation with Mr. Metakur, who is like this fucking based, real deal character. And he worked him over. He's like, like this guy is saying like, we can use Gamergate as a platform to make Trump tweet about Gamergate 2.0, and he's a fucking snake. And believe it or not, this Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin character, I follow his career very closely. He's always trying to get a foot in to the discussion, and given the right time and place, he would be the kind of character that Hitler was. Hitler was a theater writer and a failed artist. So this guy is also, he was a game developer at once, but like he has this sort of have-nots instinctive and cat-like appetite for sensing where power lies, and he shoots straight for the jugular. I mean, he has his own failings, and like, no, he's a dangerous character. Anyways, we can talk about this later. I'm tired now. Let's say good night to everybody. Almost 3 hours. Where are you all hailing from? Where are you from? Let's say good night. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Amfali Valentine says, no. Do you think Carl Benjamin will try to get into power again? No, because I don't know, he's making. I'll talk about him later, really seriously. Good night to Bakara in California. Good night to Eleanor, who's EP. Good night to JD from the Crypt. Good night to Reshit from Norway. Good night to Kotobuki from New Jersey. Good night to Matatilla from Germany. Good night to Nick Nitoski. Good night to Eleanor from the UK. Good night to Anfali Valentine from Istanbul. Good night to Lux Aterna from Lithuania. Good night to Berkay Yıldız from Istanbul, saying it's so hot I'm going to shoot myself in the head. Well, me too, man. Me too. Good night to Dan McClear in Scotland. Good night to Organic Wolf in Mexico. Good night to Hayden in California. Good night to Spampton from the Sierra Nevadas in California. That sounds cool and refreshing already. Good night, Canım Abim, says Fermurik. Good night from Andromeda, says Lexus Galavan. Good night from Switzerland, Regen Taher. B, good night to Germany. Good night to Kotobuki from Alpha Centauri. Okay. Good night to Thomas Strimpel from Texas. And good night to Robotipi, my good friend. And good night to you all in the replay gang. If you've been watching the replay, let me know. Good night from the replay gang, so we know who's been watching this all the way. Comment it on the comments. And yeah, this was a nice stream. I will see you all later in the future, where I hope everybody will all be happy, healthy, and hail. Good night, dudes and duets. This has been CM Kozeman.